Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Neighbours. Today we got Roy Cohen on the show. You wear many different hats. Give me just a little quick intro about who you are and what you do. Just touch base on all the pieces.
Well, I'm a 40-year Aurora resident, proud to say. I've been very involved in community endeavors and also sport, coached basketball, hockey, and for the last 25 years, I've been heavily involved in the AYSC, the Aurora Youth Soccer Club. Currently president. I've been president approximately 7-8 years, and prior to that, I was on the board of directors. We have the largest sporting organization in Aurora, one of the largest per capita in the country. And we provide recreational and high performance soccer, football for our community and surrounding communities. So very proud to say that, the club has grown and flourishing. And that's because of our community. We have a tremendous community.
And what was, call it, the beginning roots of maybe the volunteering? Like, how do you get involved in volunteering, right? You've been a long time volunteer in the community. What was kind of the starting point of that? Was it sports? Was it something else? Talk to me about the early days of how you got into volunteering.
Great question. There's a Aurora resident that got me involved. We were taking our eldest daughter, Savannah, to Little Dribblers, which was a basketball program at Highview. And I walked in, I sat on the stage, and, my daughter was learning the sort of intricacies and, the fun stuff of basketball, dribbling and trying to shoot. And this gentleman was just phenomenal. He had this box of Kit Kats and arrows, the Halloween box of mini chocolate bars. And every time they did something above and beyond their level, it wasn't, make a basket and get something. It was individual. He'd give them a little treat. And he resonated with me. And one day he asked me down from the stage, he goes, "Would you help me, just collect balls and put them back in the basket?" And I said, "Absolutely." And the gentleman's name is Bill Kozovsky. And Bill is one of those 1 in a million type of guys. He's brilliant. He builds computers, can take them apart and put them together actually. His thought process in regards to the way his mind works is absolutely brilliant, because when you talk to most people, you'll get an opinion. With him, he'll present opinions. There'll be 4 or 5 different scenarios, and he considers everybody's feelings and everybody's socioeconomic background, ethnic background. I mean, just phenomenal. So Bill, for sure, has been a huge influence in me getting involved volunteering. I volunteered in the past, but I was also a workaholic. And I started off in the bakery business, and long hours, 7 days a week, barely had time to see my kids. And this was a vehicle for me to say, okay, when I get home, I switch things off, and now I'll become involved in my kids' sports. And it manifested into coaching community kids and different levels. And I absolutely love it. I feel that it's necessary. Volunteerism to me is so important. And I believe everybody should at least attempt it, because they'll truly realize not only the satisfaction, but the input and the influence they can have on young people's lives.
Yeah, it sounds like it came to you at a pretty important time. Like, you said you're a workaholic, right? You have young family too, and it's so easy to drive yourself into work because you're like, I need to produce for my family, right? But the truth is, being there and present with your family is actually being there for them, right?
Exactly.
So we kind of like trick ourselves like, oh, I'm working so hard for my family, when really you're doing it for some other reason, some underlying thing of, I don't know, maybe trying to prove something to someone or to yourself. But we trick ourselves being like, oh, it's for the family, right? But it seems like that volunteering position kind of got to balance you out, where, you know, you could work really hard and do your thing and build your businesses, but then it gives you that option to kind of switch off. That was probably the starting point. And then once you're into that, you're like, oh no, wait, this is the thing.
No, you're bang on. And I feel without a doubt it's made me a better person. Much more empathy, I think patience. And more importantly, just the connections I've developed within our community. It's been amazing. You know, I was telling my wife a couple of months ago, I was in Costco, I was doing some shopping, and I got grabbed from behind, and I turn around, and it's this guy is like 6'4", changed, right? And he goes, Coach Roy, I loved you, blah, blah, blah. And I look at him and I'm saying, oh my God, Barnaby? He goes, yeah. I mean, I coached a kid when he was like 10, so now he's 25. And it's sort of, maybe I haven't changed that much, but they've grown into young individuals and responsible. And to me, that's the benefit as well. It's the community input that we have and the opportunity to make sure that we do our best in creating some solid pathways. Yeah.
So let's talk about the coaching roles a little bit. Like what sports were you coaching? Like what age groups were there? Like how long was it? Like give me the background on that in the coaching position.
So I started off like everybody else, coaching in the house league level, in basketball and in hockey and in soccer. So a typical Saturday for me would be first thing in the morning would be basketball at Williams, GW Williams. Then in the afternoon we'd go to the Dome and we'd have indoor programs for soccer. And then in the early evening, it'd be hockey games. So I was going from venue to venue. We have 4 children, so I'd be helping out and coaching. And then as the kids grew up, they were all starting to play at different levels. Mm-hmm. So I had one of my sons played at YSE, which is the York Region hockey team here at the Express. And that was a heavy commitment. I was on the bench with 2 other coaches that were great. And we basically saw that experience for a few years. And then I talked to a friend of mine who's also a teacher at Country Day School. Tremendous individual. His name's John Anderson. And I talked to John in the summer, and he said, my kid's probably good enough to play AAA, but we want to stay local. And it resonated with me. It really did. It was like, yeah, it's so cool. You're close. It's a community. All the kids go to school together or hang out. And we played AA for the next, I believe, 5 years. And that was fantastic. I got into training. I took my trainer's course. I really liked that. And I was trainer for a few years as well. And soccer was a completely different animal. I started off and I continued to coach house league with my 3 children, but my daughter Scarlett played rep, and it was a very competitive team. We played all over Ontario, and coaching that really challenged me in regards to, for example, player selection. So when you had tryouts and it's like, oh my God, I can't cut this kid. I love this kid. Like their parents are so nice. It was really, there were years, and I did that team for close to 11 years, which is unheard of. Coaches usually stay for 2 or 3 seasons and then they change it up. But I had an incredible experience with that team, a very respectful decorum with parents and with the referees, with everybody. We tried to make it that it's not so much about your wins and losses, because that's sport. You need to understand that. If you go in thinking you're going to win every game, well, what's the fun of that? You need that challenge. So our motto was win like a sport, lose like a sport. There's always next week. So I love that. It was a rep team. I did that for 10 and a half years. And in the interim, I was asked by the president of the AYSE at the time to sit on the board with my experience and also, I think, my business background. They were looking for strategies moving forward, because the game and all sports now have become businesses. Mm-hmm. It's not just a rinkety-dink operation. I mean, these clubs are doing millions of dollars in revenue, and you need to have checks and balances. You also need to have chain of command where things are done properly and with proper decorum and respect. And they're all audited. All these non-for-profits were audited, so every penny needs to be accounted for and done properly. So, I morphed into that. I was on the board for maybe 7 or 8 years, and then I became president. And I enjoy it. I love it. At this stage of my life, it gives me an opportunity also to communicate with the referees, with all the coaches, and the Aurora Youth Soccer Club, Aurora Football Club, AFC as well. They're 2 clubs, and they're both soccer. So for some people that don't understand, football is also soccer, and it's a European and South American term, actually world term. But we started looking at different levels in competition. And we currently have 10 OPDL teams, which is Ontario Player Development League. And we have iModel, which is a regional league, which is also high performance. We have REP, and we have our house league. And we also have a special needs program, which is fantastic. It's called the Stinger Stars. So between all the different variations of skill, we're developing. And for example, Chloe Utterberg, who's a Canadian national treasure, played with us for years, coaches with us, her sister coaches with us, her dad, Rob, sat on the board with us for a few years. So we're developing players. Alistair Johnson, who plays for the Canadian national team, was at the World Cup, will be at the World Cup next year, also played in Aurora, grew up here. So there's huge, I wouldn't call them perks, but huge accomplishments that we feel, hey, you know what? We were a very tiny part of it, but we were a part of it.
Yeah, which I can tell you from someone that played sports my whole life, and sports was like my everything, that you're probably underselling what the actual effect of it is, right? Obviously, you could see the development of the ones that take it further, but sports is like true development of like a human to prepare them for the world. Like if you think of all the aspects that you get from playing a sport, right? Like teamwork and facing adversity and working hard and consistency and improving, facing adversity, all these elements that you develop as you go through playing sport are so crucial for them are so crucial in life skills for them when you go out and you're an adult and you're taking on the world, right? You're going to need all those tools to handle the world coming at you, right? Talk about the role of sport, like, because it's a big thing, right? Like you said, you did hockey, you did basketball, now you're deep into soccer, football, right? But you've seen it in many different areas too, and we can kind of just put an umbrella across sport for this topic right now, and how important you think it is for the youth to get involved in it and be a part of it.
So there's a couple of different aspects to that question. I'll hit on one first, which is parent involvement, because it's very important that there's assistance from parents. They drive them to games and practices. attend all the team meetings for tournaments and what have you. But what I'd like to explain to parents that have young children, and I find this with always the primary child, they're the first kid playing and going, parents put a lot of pressure on that child. It's almost like they live vicariously through them, and they put a lot of pressure on them to overachieve. They sit there, looking at minutes, tracking minutes. They look at who they're playing with if it's not the best kid on the team. And I try to explain to them this. The most important thing is to have proper structure, because I know the first question every single parent asks their kid when they get into the car after their first session, how was coach? And if the kids say, oh my God, my coach is fantastic. He's so nice, Mom. He's so nice, Dad. Parents are at ease. So we'll sort of segue through to coaching now, which is very important. Coaches need to know, at least in my opinion, and what we try to do at the AYSC, kill them with kindness. The bottom line is 99% of all your athletes aren't going to play at a higher level than maybe university. It's about the experience. It's about having fun. It's about learning the sport, so you're developing your skills. And more importantly, it's about interaction, making friends, understanding pecking order. Everything that you said, Miles, is bang on, because this way we create better citizens for our republic. They become leaders, they become structured, they become disciplined. So, at the end of the day, that's the one aspect. Sport in its totality is the vehicle. So it doesn't matter. I'm from the school that I don't care what you play, baseball, football, rugby, soccer, hockey. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me as long as you're engaged and given that opportunity to mingle, to collaborate, to kind of learn different personalities. Because I've seen coaches where, and I've had this discussion with a few of ours, and names will stay out of this conversation, but I saw that they were really hard on, and I go around from field to field and I do some, just some scouting, and I like to report on, what I see. And there were a couple of coaches that were very hard on their team. And I get it. It's their style. It's what they want to see out of their team, the best out of their team. But after practice, I talked to them. And I said, well, why was that said? Do you think it was necessary? And they go, well, that's the way I was coached. So I said to them, that was 25 years ago, 30 years ago. We've evolved as a society. And I said, if you can try different strategies in being nice. So I have a system, it's called the sandwich system. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
But that is a compliment, the correction, and another compliment. So, hey, Bobby, that was a great play, but try this. When you touch the ball, pass it the way you're facing, this and that. Now, go out there. You're doing amazing. So this way, you're actually correcting what you'd like to see done, but you're also complimenting the athlete. Because my mom used to always say, a punch can hurt, but words will kill.
Yeah, for sure. Words have a much longer lasting effect than a punch, for sure. Yeah, it's something I think about deeply now, just because when I reflect back to my childhood and the role of sports, and I'm hoping that there should be a resurgence of more sport being activated, right? I think what you get out of it is so crucial. And now my kid is 7 months old, right? So
congratulations.
Thank you. We'll see, cool. 4, 5, 6 years old, what the landscape is like. But it's just so crucial. And like you said, 99% aren't taking it to a high level, but call it from 8 years old to 18 years old, right? In these crucial time in your life. Think about everything that happens to an 8 to an 18-year-old, right? To to have a team, have teammates, have a coach. Also another core thing, like the value of a coach, of another figure that isn't your mom or dad, that's like trying to teach you something, or, you know, discipline you, or compliment you, or educate you, whatever that may be, lead you, is so crucial as well. Because, you know, you get to a point like, yeah, sure, mom and dad, but I'll listen to coach, right? Am I seeing something that isn't happening? Is there a drop off? Is there a resurgence, or is there something that we should be doing? When I say that, like, what comes to mind?
So that's a very astute observation, and I'll tell you why. Because in our life, we have very few role models, teachers, religious leaders, coaches, parents, grandparents, that type of thing, the close inner circle of, who you're exposed to. But I've always believed, and I've always maintained, that when we're looking at creating a better mousetrap, it's very important for everybody to understand that it is a collaboration, that it's not just, well, I'll leave it to you. It's sort of the same message, and making our youth aware of certain aspects in life. And by example, hopefully some of these things stick. And, that's all we can do, because everybody's different. I read Scotty Bowman's book, very famous hockey coach and general manager. And he said that I have 21 players, but I have 21 keys in my pocket. And the analogy was, the rules are the same for everybody. But how I convey those rules and resonate with that athlete is the key. Their key is, okay, so this is for X player, and that's for Y player. This one needs direction. This one needs nurturing. This one needs a softer touch. And it was brilliant, because that's the way I coached. I identified what the characteristics, not the skill. The skill, that was our job, to make sure that they understood what we needed them to work on and to get better. But it was the interaction, how we wanted them to achieve the best they could in their ability. So, on a soccer pitch, I had a team, and I had a player that, for whatever reason, was always in trouble at school. And his father was at wit's end. He goes, Roy, is there any way you can talk to him, or this and that and whatever? And I thought about it. So first practice, I took out the jersey, and I said to him, "You're captain." He started crying. I was shocked. This burly, tough kid, because I've never been made captain. Everybody, blah, blah. He said, "You're captain, and you're going to make sure that this team," and his father couldn't believe the transformation of his son over a 12-week period.
That's amazing. When you were talking about like the key, like, and being able to see that, I think of that first volunteer that you were talking about, Bill
Kozovsky,
and how he could see all the different, call it perspectives or viewpoints from like in all different pieces. And I feel like a similarity in that, when you're like thinking of all the different kids and how they all are slightly different of what makes them tick, right? And you kind of have to get into their viewpoint, their shoes, like, to kind of understand them better, to then be able to go out and, do that, where really the unlock was put leadership on this kid, and then everything will change, because he has, I don't know, some insecurity that's making him do bad things,
Never yelled at a ref all season.
Yeah.
Calmed down kids that kind of got out of hand. It was phenomenal. And his father had come up to him every game. He goes, thank you. But getting back to your original question, so 8 to 18, very tough age, because as they grow, there's puberty, there's the maturity aspect, there's the friend kind of influence group. So what I always tried to do was this. As the kids were growing up And as you could see, they're kind of drifting, I wouldn't say away, but sort of, yeah, right, okay, I gotcha. Like, they weren't taking the same information the same way. We always try to now amp it up a little bit. So the skills would become harder. The tasks would become harder. And we were never complacent in having the same practices. It was always different. I worked also with another coach, Matteo Rustico, Coach Matt, and he was a master at crafting practices. I worked with him for a few years, and I don't think we ever had the same practice. I go, Matteo, you're like a genius. Like, how do you do this? And he was passionate. He was committed to making sure that every single athlete played great. The challenges we find today are a little bit different, and that is, as soon as girls hit 16, for whatever reason, there's a huge drop-off. And this isn't just in our region. It's not in our province. It's in our country, where what are the reasons for females actually just walking away from sport? And the three main reasons were part-time jobs, boyfriends, and the third one blew me away. It was body consciousness. And for the life of me, how can you go from a summer when you were 15 and a half to being a tiger on the field, 6 months later saying, I'm not playing this year? It blew me away. So how do we as a society, how do we as sports organization try and retain that? And those are the challenges that we face now. On the boys' side, it's through the roof. We have waiting lists, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And on the girls' side, the younger ages, very solid. All the teams are fully booked. But you see that gap from like grade 9 to grade 12 and high school. It breaks my heart because I look at some of these athletes and there was potential. Like, you could go and walk on in August. All the universities across the country have walk-ons. Like, you don't have to be drafted or selected to come and play in this program. We're going to have a week or two where show us what you got. And there are so many athletes that I know for a fact falling between the cracks because they just gave it up. So to me, that's
a challenge.
It is.
Yeah. Is there so when you're on the board of it, like you are in a unique position because, one, you have the experience of the volunteering and the coaching and being in it, being on the pitch, right? And as well too, you're still around monitoring, talking to the coaches, talking to the refs, talking to the players, talking to the parents. But then you're also up top, on board president, looking down at kind of the whole ecosystem as a whole, right? And obviously you're crushing it. You said all the numbers of how big you are and per capita and all that too. But what are the conversations up there? Who are the partners that you're kind of working with? What are those conversations up there to continue the momentum and as well to take on big challenges like what you just mentioned?
Yeah, it's a great question because the board of directors rarely get any type of recognition. And these clubs could not survive without direction. So to your point, yes, it's an ecosystem. There's chain of command and there's responsibility. But it's from the bottom up. It's not the other way around. So when I started as a house league coach with 4 and 5-year-olds, slowly over years, over decades, you work your way up because you understand now the intricacies. It's very, very important. Whereas in some corporations, even if they're not sport, for whatever reason, somebody will get a very high position but not have the proper pedigree to navigate. To me, it's all about communication, transparency, and honesty. I've been president and on the board for at least 20 years, and I've never taken a penny. I've never taken a cup of coffee. I do it as a true volunteer. And I think that that's an example that I'm very proud of. And it's something that we need to convey to all not-for-profits. If you're involved in this, it's because you want to be. It's not because you see an opportunity to either promote your business or, get per diems. You go away on a trip and they're going to pay for your meals or nothing. And I'm proud to say that we have a very healthy reserve, and our board of directors, at our meetings, are all very inspired to assist and come up with different ideas. A lot of the meetings, I have to tell you, have to do with governance. So we just completed ONCA, which is policies throughout Ontario to make sure that things are streamlined with all clubs, constitutions, and a lot of boring stuff, so I won't get into it. But these things are very important because they provide vehicles in case there's disciplinary action, in case there's, COVID.
Yeah.
COVID was a disaster because I had half our membership yelling at me, like, Roy, like, what are you doing? They're kids. They're out on the field. They should be playing. And then the other half were, are you crazy? Like, you can die. And in the beginning days, it was so, like, I didn't know what to say here, left, right. And I just said, listen, guys, we have to abide by our government, our healthcare professionals, and, we'll take it from there. But nobody thought it was going to go on for years.
Yeah.
Everybody thought, okay, a month or 2 months or whatever. So, yeah, the challenges are there, but you need excellent support to make sure that things are always run tickety-boo.
Yeah. And what about, is there like a partnership relationship with the town of Aurora through all this? Like what's their role in kind of the organizations, even as a whole, yours specifically, but you can see it from all angles. So
yeah, so the town of Aurora are facility providers.
Okay.
So our club rents fields and also has a partnership managing the dome, and it's been excellent. The relationship I have with the town has been unique because there's been some fantastic senior staff and politicians that have assisted in advice, and also they'd like information, so I'm readily available to work with them. But I have to give a shout out to our mayor. Mayor Marakis is a sports guy, first and foremost. He's become a tremendous politician and a fantastic mayor and leader for this community, but he's a sports guy. He believes in it. And every couple of months, he runs a sports roundtable. And the organizations get together. We were in the Holland Room at Town Hall last week, and it was fantastic. It was a great collaboration of respect and ideas to better enhance all the organizations. But there is one thing, and I'm going to share this, and I don't know if it's the appropriate forum, but I think it is. Whoever's listening, we need, as a community, and I think this is across the country, we need younger people involved. Everybody that are the powers to be in all these organizations are getting up there. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. I'm part of that group. But I'd like to see more of our youth involved because of new strategies, different ideas, different perspectives, just to sort of get that going. So if anybody's listening out there and that really doesn't know how to maybe assist or get involved, please reach out to whatever sport, excites you, and reach out to their president or to their board and tell them that you'd like to assist. But I think it's very important because it's the future. Like, I'm not going to be there forever. It's hard to sort of train somebody cold. you'd like to have, some sort of apprenticeship and move through to understand the inner workings. And you have to be good at budgets, and you have to be good at negotiating with refs. And,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah. I have an idea out of left field
Yeah.
that just popped in my mind now. Like,
Well, that's what Lynette said. She said, you were brilliant.
okay, this is what my idea. This is if I'm in the room and we're thinking of ideas. I don't know what it looks like. Obviously, this is V1 of the idea, very rough. But some type of like content creation activation, right? So if you think about the sports, right? So you hire like a videographer or something like that to come and do like a couple times a year where they're going to come up and then they're essentially going to create like little reels, 30, 60-second highlight reels for each of the players, right? One, they're going to love it because it's going to be incredible. But then the ripple effect of all them posting of like, hey, this is me playing this sport too. And think about like the exponential views across like all sports if they all had that, of like what that cost would be from like a marketing standpoint from within, as well like a gift to the players too, right? That would be sweet.
It's a great idea.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. Can I use it?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Call it the Miles rule.
Yeah. Okay, as we close up here, you got any final thoughts, words, piece of advice from parents or kids, either one of them or both? Some leaving words for the people that are watching.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are difficult because, it's a two-way street. But passion for the sport that you choose is paramount. If you love it, it'll love you back. And what I mean by that is if you're committed to it and you practice on your own and, you watch games or attend games, it's a matter of passion. It's a matter of loving that sport, and you will get better. You will become the athlete that you envision. And I just want to say that your organization has been such an influence on all of us in the community, not only in sport, but in every single endeavor. And, I believe that moving forward, your influence is going to resonate with more and more people every year. We have a resilient, phenomenal community here. And there are a lot of people that like to get involved, but just don't know how to. And we'll continue to keep our doors open and our minds open to make sure that everybody's in a good place. I love Aurora. I love York Region. I think it's the greatest place to live in the country. And I thank you, Miles, for this opportunity. It's been great. I've had a blast.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.